So recently, a lot of people have been giving hate to groomers, and I just don't get it. I love my groomer. I take my dog to him every year. Without a groomer, my dog would be covered in hair with long nails and... Oh, that kind of groomer. Oh. So before we continue any further, let's go over what the definition of a groomer is. A child groomer, not to be confused with a dog groomer, is someone who befriends and establishes an emotional connection with a child, and sometimes with the family as well, to lower the child's inhibitors with the objective of having sex with them. I'm not gonna lie, I used to think a child groomer was someone who finds a teenager between the age of 15 and 17 and tries to establish an emotional connection with them, and then they have sex with them once they're of legal age. And while that might be a type of groomer, it's not what all groomers are. Now, groomers, people who give special hugs, people who are interested in others who haven't sexually matured yet, have always been exposed here and there throughout the internet. But 2020, it just seemed all over the place. Jesus. Yeah, people like Hopeless Lunacy, Cosmodore, and just recently, the Minecraft streamer himself, Call Me Carson. But of course, like with most social issues, there's a bit of a gray area with all of this stuff, like with Pyrocynical. Call Me Carson hit on a 17-year-old when he was 19, and Pyro allegedly did it with a 15-year-old when he was 19. So why are so many people willing to forgive Pyro but not Call Me Carson? Well, there's no really hard evidence to prove that Pyrocynical knew the age of Ivory. There's some evidence, don't get me wrong, but no hard proof whatsoever. And even then, there's no evidence that Pyro wanted to get with Ivory, just that he was having a degenerate roleplay with them. I think pedos might be the most hated group in America, by far. I know some people may say, no, I think this group is most hated, or that group is most hated, but to me, in my subjective, humble opinion, it's pedos. But then again, why was Pyrocynical forgiven and not someone like Shane Dawson, you may ask? Well, with Pyrocynical, he only made an inappropriate roleplay with someone once, maybe twice, and it was most likely an accident. With Shane Dawson, he's made several inappropriate jokes with people well below the age of 18. But some of you may ask, why does it have to be the age of 18? Why can't the age be 17 or 19 or whatever? Well, to answer that for you, I don't have the maturity to talk about it, so I'm not going to touch that topic with a 10-foot pole. I've met plenty of people who think the age of consent should be lower, but also a lot of people who think the age of consent should be higher. Some people think it should be raised to the age of 21 along with drinking and smoking, and others think the age of consent should be 25 when the brain is fully developed. While I don't think the age of consent will ever be 25 anytime soon, I can see the age of consent being raised to 21. I'm not saying it will or even should, I'm just saying I can see it happening. So if you made a whole bunch of inappropriate jokes about kids, if you have groomed someone, or you have drawn Lolicon or Shotacon, and you've already been exposed or are about to get exposed, how should you get out of it? Well, I have 2 tips for you. Number 1, don't. And number 2, which is even more important, don't. It doesn't matter to people if you live in a state or a country where the age of consent is lower than 18. It doesn't even matter if you bring up the whole Romeo and Juliet law 3-year gap. It doesn't matter to people if it happened years ago. And while asking a 17-year-old to send you a picture with their top off is certainly much less bad than fucking a 7-year-old in the ass, people care more about kids than they do anyone's sexual orientation, gender, or race. I've never seen anyone getting exposed as a groomer and managing to get out of it. Maybe there is an apology out there that I missed that most people accepted, but I've certainly never come across it. Even if the victim forgives you, most people won't. So as soon as you blow out the candles on your 18th birthday cake, Just avoid hitting on anyone below the age of 18. I mean, you could probably murder someone on tape and more people would be willing to forgive you. Not saying anyone is lenient on murderers, it's just a whole lot more people are willing to forgive O.J. Simpson than they are willing to forgive Bill Cosby, and he didn't even do anything to anyone underage. There are plenty of sympathetic villains in the media, but as far as I'm aware, none of them have done anything questionable to kids. Except for maybe Sergeant Hatred.
I'm an Astos, Prince of Elves!
Some people aren't even willing to forgive Pyrocynical. Granted, most are, but some aren't. If you're a nobody, basically no one will talk about your bad actions. But if you're a public figure, it's gonna be front page news. Being a public figure can be fun. You just post a picture of your breakfast on Instagram and get a bunch of praise. But being a public figure is a double-edged sword. Anything you say and do will be held against you. There's a part of me who wants to play devil's advocate, but a subject like this is so heated that even playing devil's advocate will make you look suspicious. I used to be in a debate server where people would debate age of consent, and whenever they asked me to do it, I would say, nope, not even touching that with a 10-foot pole. I would like to talk about this subject more, but in the court of public opinion, it's pretty cut and dry. Even if you have a vagina, you can't completely get out of something like this, even if the newspapers defend you.
Parents outraged over light sentence for Louisiana substitute teacher who had sex with students. Parents are outraged after a substitute teacher charged with having sex with their children gets a plea deal. The woman won't serve jail time or register as a sex offender. That means there's legally nothing from keeping her from teaching again. She was 30, they were 16 and 15, and she gets no jail time, and she doesn't have to register as a sex offender. Hell world.
Oh boy howdy, do I hope no one takes me out of context from this video. Oh dear God, that would be terrible.